Welcome to All Things Retreat Podcast. I'm Holly Porter, your host and CEO of Retreat R&R. With over 25 years of experience in designing transformative retreats, I'm here to share insights and inspiration to help you create extraordinary experiences. Whether you're a pro or just starting out, you'll find valuable ideas here. Enjoy the ride. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome everybody to the show today. We're going to be having a conversation with Melanie Ireton. Did I say that correctly?
You did.
I forgot to ask her before, so I'm proud of myself. Starting out right. She is a fractional COO and operational strategist who helps retreat leaders and online business founders stop running their businesses from a place of chaos and start scaling with systems that actually work. With over 9 years behind the scenes of a multi-million online businesses, she's overseeing launches, building teams, and designing the operational infrastructure that turns vision into revenue. Melanie brings the same caliber of strategic leadership to her clients that a full-time COO would without the full-time price tag. She's also the founder of Ireton Consulting, where she partners with CEOs and founders to untangle operational bottlenecks, implement AI-powered workflows, and build the back-end infrastructure that lets them do more of what they do best. Whether it's leading transformational retreats or serving their communities at a higher level, Melanie knows what retreat leaders are visionaries first, and that gap between a powerful experience and profitable, reputable business is almost always an operational problem, and that's the problem that she shares. So welcome to the show, Melanie.
Thank you for having me.
I don't think I've had a COO on the show before, so I love that because boy, a lot of us need it.
Yeah, it's kind of that overlooked, behind the scenes operational person. So that's not uncommon. That's not uncommon.
So let's start out by explaining to the audience what a COO is, and then the difference between a COO and a fractional CEO or COO. Let's explain those, okay?
There's so many words going around.
I know.
A COO is a chief operating officer. So typically, we are the person underneath the founder or the CEO, overseeing the day-to-day operations, cross management of teams, project management, basically the execution from, visionary idea to reality. So we're bringing everything to life for the founder or CEO so that they can focus on their zone of genius or, go to the beach or whatever it is that the CEO really wants to be doing. And the difference between the fractional piece and a full-time COO is quite literally a lot of the time just the cost associated. So where a sole proprietorship might not be able to bring in a full-time COO because of cost, they can have that same service and that same leadership at a fraction of the cost.
So does it look like a part-time or a 90-day stretch? I mean, what does that look like for most companies?
It really depends on what the goal is. So I've come in just to do launches, which could be, a 90-day stretch. I've come in just to oversee projects. I've come in to oversee hiring. So it really can look like anywhere from, 5 hours a week to 20 hours a week, depending on the need. So it's very personal. I don't like to take on too many people at once because I need to be able to give my full attention to the clients that I have to be able to provide that delivery. But yeah, it's really custom.
Okay. Why do you think so many retreat leaders struggle with the operational side of their businesses?
I think a lot of retreat leaders it's kind of either it's the next step in their business, it's the next phase in growth. So, it's a marketing, it's in their marketing plan. And so the retreat is somewhat different in the sense of how to promote it and how to market it, because people have to know, like, and trust you in order to go on a retreat with you. And so operationally, it's not the same as trying to nurture someone into a course or trying to nurture someone because they're doing that online. You're nurturing someone into getting on a plane typically and going on, an amazing adventure with you with an outcome, a transformational aspect to it, or, a study piece. It could be a number of things, but I think it's just a lack of knowledge of how to put all of those pieces together. So what to do with the lead after you get the lead, what is the process after that, through to the sales, because it does involve a sales process as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I love trends. Okay. I mean, we all want to be trendy, right? But I
Of
love like
course.
knowing statistics and especially in the retreat industry. And so I went and created this 2026 report a few months ago for this year of trends that people can go and grab for free. It's a 17-page report. International Retreat Association.org is where you can grab it if you want it. That will also put you on the International Retreat Association list so that you'll get our weekly newsletters, which also promote this podcast. You get to see the shows that come up that week. We have 2 that launch, and then there's some blogs on there that give you updates, and there's always a trend blog on there as well. So like if you're like me and you like to know like what's the hot new stuff, then I love that. But I want to know, that's what I know that I'm sharing. What do you know about the 2026 trends that are in the retreat industry right now? What would you say you're seeing?
I'm seeing a lot of simple retreats for connection. And so the retreat itself is not only the top trend of 2026 in marketing, it's actually the trend for 2026, and it's pulling over into 2027. But that retreat to just be the retreat, to have that in-person connection, it doesn't have to have a whole lot of activities. It doesn't have to have a whole lot of, juice and oomph to it. It's just the ability to completely disconnect and have that in-person conversation instead of a Zoom conversation. It's that ability to have a moment to yourself without the kids knocking at the door or a text message coming through. And people are craving that immensely, especially with the incoming of AI. And now people are even turning to AI for that connection, and it doesn't feel the same. And so we're lacking that. And so that is why retreats are the number one trend. In terms of promoting retreats, we're seeing a lot of people doing a lot of different things, a lot of outreach. You're not necessarily going to sell a retreat from a Facebook ad because those people don't know who you are. It's your warm audience. It's, having meetups in advance and getting to know your audience in person, and is where you can see a lot of conversion and outreach, personal outreach.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. What do you see as the biggest gap in the marketing and promotional stuff that comes from retreat leaders and venues?
For retreat leaders, it's not being clear about what's happening on the retreat. Instead of focusing on the logistics and the location itself, really telling a story about what's going to be experienced and what's going to happen when they leave. Like, what are they going to feel while they're there? What am I going to, really immersing the reader in the retreat itself as they go through the sales page. That part is somewhat missed in the sense that people, and you'll see it in your, your web stats when people are hitting the page, but they're not staying long because they don't know if it's for them or not. They can't tell. And so getting really clear on that and then capturing that in person at that point, and leading them through to, whatever your sales journey is at that stage. Sorry, what was the second part to your question?
For venues too.
For venues. For venues, we're seeing just, again, warm outreach. Where we used to see that you could run ads and, use that kind of mechanism to pull your audience in. There's a lot of, personal outreach, a lot of webinars, a lot of really getting to know the clientele. There's just such a mass of locations out there to choose from. It's really getting in front of your audience and offering something that no one else is offering in order to be able to really benefit them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've said that the gap between a powerful retreat and a profitable retreat business is often operational's problem. Can you explain what you meant by that?
I mean, the sense of, I just spoke to someone and they're saying how they have their Instagram leads coming in, but nobody's buying. And my question was, well, how are you getting them from that Instagram conversation to the sales like that's the first part of your
Yeah.
sales conversation, and they weren't pulling them off of Instagram. So that's what I
Mhm.
mean operationally, is you have to have structure, and that structure needs to be, maybe for this instance it would be from Instagram, you're pulling them into your email list, and you're addressing the pain points that they have, and you're taking away all of their fears, but you're capturing their information, or you're scheduling a phone call with them, and you're, giving them 3 to 5 touch points in order to make that decision, but then you're actually asking them to come on the retreat. And people
Right.
are so afraid of being forward, and they're so
Yeah.
afraid of, emailing people too many times or communicating too much, that
Yeah.
they end up operationally not delivering enough to get them through. And so operationally, it means having, an email system set up. Or if you don't do email, it could be having, a Telegram or a WhatsApp, somewhere where you're gathering your community
Mhm.
and you're intentionally engaging with them through a number of steps. And quite often we're seeing that those steps are broken. So
Yeah.
operationally, the steps are not flowing together. Um, Sometimes it's email deliverability issues. Sometimes it's
Right.
messaging. Sometimes it's a lack of community. There are a number of pieces that could be missing, and they create that gap between just awareness
Mhm.
and somebody coming on the retreat.
Absolutely. What do you think the biggest operational mistakes that you see retreat leaders making?
The biggest operational mistake that I see retreat leaders making consistently, it's probably hesitation in their delivery. It's a hesitation in, they're so afraid to ask for the sale. They're so afraid
Yeah.
to ask someone that, and they're so afraid that they're going to seem pushy, but it's just not having enough communication. So they're just putting it on one place. They're putting it on, let's say, Facebook, but there's nothing
Yeah.
else. There's
Right.
nothing
Right.
else. It's like, well, they'll let me know if they're interested. Like they'll send me a DM if they're interested. And that's not an operation. That's awareness. And
You're right.
so
Yeah. Well, I'm guilty of that. As you're explaining, I'm like, it's, what reminding me of is like, build it and they will come. It's like, if they want it, they're going to find me, but it's not, it's
no.
dripping and it's that constant. How many touches do we need before someone really pulls the trigger? Is
Yeah,
it
I mean,
20,
you
21?
need usually like, I mean, they need to see it like 5 times, but
Yeah.
that's again, when you get into like creating a sense of urgency
Yeah.
and, making that early bird, or there's so many strategies around pricing the retreat.
Yeah.
And there's so many pieces to it, but people are so focused on learning how to run a retreat, they're forgetting that running a retreat is a business, and there's a
Yes.
business component to it. And
Yeah.
so operationally, you have to be aware of that business piece, and also be working on that at the same time.
Well, and a lot of businesses, it's a business within the business, right? They're
It
creating
is, yes.
retreats around what they're already doing. Or if they're a coach, for instance, and they're selling a coaching package at a retreat, it's like your retreat's an actual separate business of part of that.
Yeah, and I mean, that is the best time to offer that. That is where you want to be offering
Absolutely.
that big package, is when you've just spent a week with someone,
Absolutely.
creating that knowledge base and creating that experience and those memories with that person.
Hmm.
They're going to remember that over the email you're going to send them when you get back home.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
and people, it's awkward for people.
Yeah. Well, people are emotional buyers. And so retreat's a great place to have a good emotion happening and then ask for the sale there. I just feel like, yeah, people miss out on that opportunity so much that they
They
could
really
be
do.
grabbing in. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about systems. What do you think a retreat leader should have in place before they're hosting their retreat?
I think at minimum, you have to have, in terms of systems, you have to have a way to collect your leads and gather your contacts and segment them. So whether that, I mean, it doesn't have to be a big, expensive client relationship or CRM. It can be
Sure.
a client relationship management system. So it doesn't have to be an active campaign or a Infusionsoft. By all means, it absolutely can be, but
Yeah.
just a way to gather your leads. So you have, the people that are responding to me, those
Right.
are interested. The people that actually sent me a message, those are warm leads. And if they continue a conversation, that is a hot lead.
Yeah.
And so if somebody's opening your emails primarily, you need to at least have an email system, whether that's MailerLite or some sort of
Kit,
contact
go high
management.
level. I mean,
There's so many, and
MailChimp.
Yeah, it's like fine wine. You decide which one you like the best and you go with it, and that's the one that's yours, and they all do the same things. Um and it's really just having that, I think, is key, because that's how you're going to communicate with them. That's how you're going to gather their information. It's how you're going to get their legal forms eventually. So
Yeah.
having that is absolutely the most important system to have in place.
Okay, so life happens. So let's get a scenario going here. If a retreat leader has help, has someone like you, has an assistant, and life happens and all of a sudden they're gone, what at a minimum would you suggest a retreat leader do that everything's like they're out of business tomorrow because they knew nothing and they didn't have their hands on anything? Like, what would you say bare minimum?
In that instance, you have to have insurance. So retreat leaders insurance. I mean, if I think you're creating this scenario where like you're here and you've collected everybody's money for the retreat and the retreat doesn't happen. Is that what we're,
No, I'm thinking more just of day-to-day systems. So you
okay?
have your CRM set up, you have an assistant that's helping you with all logistics, like what you would do, like the
Yeah,
operational pieces of it. Because an assistant can do a lot of what an operational person just at a lower level, right? We have all levels of
absolutely.
people doing things. So I'm saying a scenario where that whether it's a fractional COO, assistant, your help, your other brain that you have doing all of the details and the logistics. Maybe the retreat leader's that's not their genius. So of course they're hiring
Yeah.
people. Life happens. All of a sudden they're gone. You have to let them go. They have a death in the family and they leave. I mean, they get in an accident and they're in the hospital. Just saying, worst case
Yeah.
scenario. Like,
Worst
what
case
would you say
scenario.
bare minimum?
Yeah. So, I mean, typically anybody who's doing this kind of role knows that we don't own that information. That information belongs to whoever we're working for. So, whenever we're creating that client relationship management or that list or that
Yeah.
itinerary, it is all owned by the person that we're working for. And so it's never mine. It
Right.
never belonged to me in the first place. And so
Right.
the entire point is that I could walk away and you could keep
Mhm.
going. And so
Yeah.
that is how it should always be. Even if you're just working with a virtual assistant, you should always own everything being created, because it's a pain
Yeah.
in the neck when you have to go and start
Agree.
transferring ownership or recreating,
Totally.
worst case.
You know what
So
I did?
anyone,
Oh, sorry.
what
Go
did you
ahead.
do?
Huh. I had an assistant where I could see there was some issues going on. They ended up getting tuberculosis, so
Oh
there's
my
that.
gosh.
But before that, I had them creating on a Google Doc, like documenting all their processes. So either I gave them a process and they created, or we went from that, or they documented it. Something new we were doing, documented the process, because gosh, if they left, and I'm like, I don't know what they did there. I needed to know that I could go back to that. I thought that was kind of brilliant to be able to have the system
Yeah.
there. Not like I could do it, but I could also hand it to another assistant maybe, and they could say, oh, okay, this was the process you guys were doing. I can figure that out.
So
But
that is our SOP. And so typically anytime we're doing something like that, you're creating an SOP, a standard operating procedure that,
yep.
you know, your kid could go in and follow this. It's to be very simplified and very easy to follow. And
Yeah.
that is your standard operating procedure. So
I
if you
couldn't
are
remember the
doing
name.
that,
Thank you
yeah. So
for decorating
you would
that.
have that there. But I mean,
Yeah.
for what I do, anybody who's trained to do what I do wouldn't necessarily even need those. They'd be able to hop in and
Get
should
it.
know how to figure it out and how to do it.
Yeah.
But that is where that comes in, because that allows, people do unfortunately get sick, in a launch
Yeah.
even, and someone else has to step in. Well, you have to be able to do that without a break in
Yeah.
everything that's happening, and so in your operations. So that is where an SOP would come in. And I mean, you shouldn't have that many SOPs for a retreat.
Right. Well, and okay, let's jump to AI. Let's bring up that word.
Yeah.
A lot of times now you can get those created very quickly with AI, but
Yep.
we're all working, and most of us, I should say, are working with API workflows. Where do you see AI creating the biggest opportunities for retreat leaders today?
I think that it's really helpful in being able to really quickly do a lot of the operational pieces if you're not in a position to bring on help, because you can just use it as your assistant.
Mhm.
I'm a huge advocate for AI. I love it. I use it as much as I possibly can. And there is a huge ability to, take your avatar and create a project and put it in and pull out all of the pain points and address those in a nurture sequence in 5 seconds. What I would never do is copy and paste that and use that exact AI language and send it out. You need to be making it your own and making it, the odd grammar mistake, at least. Like, you have to have it so that it feels human, and it feels like you want it to make you feel like, oh, they're talking to me. This is retreat is for me. And so I think even today you can go in, and I've got people creating websites in 5 minutes because you can do it with various apps. So there's a huge opportunity to take the lift off. But you still have to know how to use the AI. It's not as simple, you have to give it the directions. It doesn't know what you want until you tell it.
Always about asking the right questions too.
This is true.
This
is very true.
So true. I love that. All right. You ready for some rapid fire?
I don't know if I am, but we'll try.
These are easy ones.
Okay.
These are just so the audience can get to know you better. No right or wrong answer. Just quick answers. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Beach retreat or mountain retreat?
Beach.
Carry on only or checked luggage?
Carry on.
Paper planner or digital calendar?
Digital calendar.
What's your favorite AI tool right now?
Oh, lovable.
Oh,
100%
lovable. That is like what we were just talking about. If you guys haven't checked that out, go check it out because it's scary. I just watched a whole guy he does his podcast automation, his scheduling, calendar, everything. It's unlovable. It's amazing. What's one app, you could say lovable, but let's use an app. What's the one app that you can't live without?
An app that I can't live without? Probably my social media, because it's where I get my leads. So without the ability to have my apps, like that's old school. And I know you expected some amazing app that you probably hadn't heard of, but without that, I can't communicate. I work remote. And so without the ability to, be connecting with people on my social platforms, that's how you and I started chatting. We wouldn't be sitting here today. And so I would definitely say my social platforms.
I love that. Okay. So we are going to put how to get a hold of Mel in the show notes here. So if you want to get a hold of her, obviously to get her, maybe you want her for just a project. I can vouch I watched some of the behind the scenes stuff she's done and it's amazing. So I know she's totally capable, but any last famous or inspiring words you want to leave?
I don't think so. I think if anything, I'll stay on brand to the conversations I've been having today. And it's just when you're running a retreat, don't feel like you have to be everywhere. Be true to who you are. Don't feel like you have to be, that person the person you think is being super successful and, has all of these things going for them, because they're probably just trying to do their very best as well. And, so just do what feels in alignment and what you're capable of, but also at the same time, make sure you do put yourself out there and do have a process and do try to ensure that you have some sort of sales process when you're running your retreat.
Absolutely. Okay. I'm going to add to that. Get someone like Mel, if not Mel, before your let's see, I had it financially, mentally, and emotionally broke.
Oh, goodness.
How's that?
That's great.
All right, everyone. Well, we'll see you on the next show. Thanks, Mel, for being a great guest. And I'm sure they have learned a lot from you. I know I picked up plenty of myself. So I appreciate you coming, and we'll see everybody next time. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of All Things Retreat. We hope you're leaving with new ideas, fresh inspiration, and the motivation to take your retreats to the next level. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It helps us grow and reach more retreat leaders like you. And if you have any questions, topics you'd like us to cover, or just want to say hello, send us an email at info@weretreatrnr.com. Follow us on social media to stay connected and catch all the latest updates. Until next time, remember, great retreats start with great intentions. Let's make them extraordinary, one step at a time.
Thinking about hosting a retreat? Before you dive in, let's make sure you're really ready. Grab your free Are You Retreat Ready checklist and find out if you've got everything in place from your purpose and pricing to your audience and agenda. Don't guess. Get clear. This quick checklist will show you exactly where you stand and what you need to make your retreat a success. Click the link below in the show notes to grab your gift and take the first step toward hosting with confidence.